On a blistering December day in 2022, the heat is unbearable as it radiates off the pavement. Aaron Carl Labrook, the charismatic president of the Rebels Motorcycle Club in Western Australia, confidently cruises in his sleek BMW with a grin that masks the catastrophe awaiting him. Little does he know he's about to ignite a chain of events that could obliterate the club. In a dramatic turn, the police flag him down and uncover a chilling surprise: $210,000 in cold, hard cash. This is no ordinary bust. It marks the beginning of the end for the mighty Rebels.
Nike boss and high-profile horse trainer have fronted court over a Christmas cash bust, accused of disguising $500,000 as presents. Detectives say WA racing royalty Kelly Kersley and rebel Carl Labrook were behind the scheme, and as 9 News explains, their relationship goes much deeper.
The fallout is immediate. Loyalty within the club shatters. Shadows of betrayal loom, and its very foundation begins to crumble. Loyalty is paramount in the world of motorcycle clubs, and betrayal often demands a blood price. What happens when Damon Vell, the national president, feels betrayed by Labrook? This gripping tale of faith and treachery unravels as Labrook's arrest threatens the very existence of the rebels in the West. Will the club survive this betrayal, or is this the final chapter for the rebels? A history of crime. Australia's underworld has many shadows, but few as infamous as Carl Labrook. Details of his early life remain shrouded in mystery, but one fact stands out. Carl Labrook was a born criminal. His rap sheet stretches back to his earliest days, with the Rebels Motorcycle Club, a saga of violent outbursts, narcotics, financial fraud, and wild speed chases. Under police surveillance for the past 20 years, Labrook's criminal endeavors could fill volumes. His association with the notorious biker heavyweight, Rebel Rick, only intensified the scrutiny. Labrook's first collision with the law occurred in 2001, when he was imprisoned for drug dealing alongside several Rebels members. They had established a drug enterprise at the Metropolis Hotel, and the police crackdown was unmerciful. Despite this, prison did little to rehabilitate Labrook. Upon release, he escalated his criminal activities, moving from dealing to manufacturing drugs. In 2010, he was arrested again for running a criminal manufacturing operation. By the time authorities dismantled his operation, Labrook had amassed a fortune and substantial street cred in Australia's underground circles. For most, 2 prison terms would be a wake-up call, not for Carl Labrook. In 2013, he found himself in handcuffs again after a high-speed chase ended in a dramatic crash and injuries, landing him back behind bars. Post-incarceration, he appeared reformed, but his ties to the rebels hinted otherwise. Then, in December 2022, the headlines roared once more. Carl Labrook was caught in a scandalous arrest, this time for a crime that could seal his fate and return him to prison for a significant stretch. The full implications of his latest transgression remain to be seen, but it's clear that Labrook's storied life of crime is far from over. The Christmas cash stash arrest. Carl Labrook had danced with the law many times, but his December 2022 arrest might be his ticket to an extended stay in an Australian jail, and his most foolish mistake yet. Despite knowing he was under surveillance for more than 2 decades and prohibited from driving, Labrook cruised around in his flashy BMW with a suspicious package in the back seat. It was almost as if he had a death wish. When the police stopped him, unlike his dramatic 2013 escape attempt, Labrook didn't flee. A search of his vehicle revealed 2 cases in the back seat, each wrapped in festive Christmas paper. Inside the wrapping and vacuum seals, authorities found more than just holiday cheer: $210,000 in crisp cash notes. But the story didn't end there. On the same day, whether by luck or Labrook's inadvertent confession, police intercepted Kelly Kersley's car and raided her home. What they discovered was even more incriminating: $250,000 in cash, also wrapped in Christmas paper. The duo was charged with possession of unlawfully obtained property, kicking off a whirlwind of legal troubles. This arrest appeared to be the beginning of a catastrophic downfall, plunging Labrook deeper into a world of criminal chaos. The Labrook's testimony. The following Kelly Curley's conviction and sentencing, Carl Labrook, surprisingly, has been cooperative with the police, especially if his latest court appearance is any indicator. With his back against the wall, Labrook faces a seemingly impossible case. His arrest was captured on camera. Curley has already been convicted, and the court is well aware of his history as a repeat offender. It looked like there was no way out for him, but then, Labrook chose an unconventional path to fight for his freedom, one that involved betraying long-held loyalties and breaking the rebels' code of honor. When questioned about the origin of the over $400,000 in cash, Labrook claimed it was from the Rebels Club membership fees. He further revealed that he had been storing the money at Kelly Curley's house because his wife, suffering from severe postnatal depression, had threatened to burn it in a fit of rage. However, what left both the court and Australia's underworld reeling was Labrook's incendiary claims about Nick Martin. Martin, the Rebels' president in Western Australia and Labrook's best friend, was assassinated by a sniper in 2020 while watching drag races with his family at the crowded Kwinana Motorplex. Labrook told the court that he had wrested power from Martin during a grueling 4-hour meeting before Martin's death. His justification for this coup. According to Labrook, Martin had been embezzling membership fees to renovate his mansion. Martin, a man revered in the rebel circles, was suddenly painted as a thief. This bombshell betrayed the unspoken rule of loyalty among thieves, especially in a courtroom setting. Martin had vehemently opposed his ousting, but before he could contest it, he was gunned down, a sniper's bullet, ending his life months after his removal. Labrook's revelations sent shockwaves through Australia's underground. Martin was a respected figure, and denouncing him publicly was unthinkable. Yet, Labrook did just that, severing ties with tradition and trust. The trial has undeniably taken its toll on Labrook, and perhaps it's understandable why he chose to cooperate with the police. However, his problems were far from over. In 2023, an anti-consorting order was enacted against him, isolating him from his biker comrades, who were essentially his family. This legal setback was a potent strategy by the police to weaken him considerably. Adding to his woes, Labrook is also under investigation for a drive-by shooting at a Mongol gang member's house in Baldivis. The police have substantial reasons to believe he was involved. As his legal troubles accumulate, they resemble a horror story. But that's not the end of his ordeal. In a twist of fate, Rebels National President Damon Vell has exerted tremendous pressure on Labrook, adding to his misery. The very club that once provided him with power and loyalty now seems poised to abandon him. Labrook's tale is a grim reminder of the perils of betrayal and the fragility of criminal alliances. As his saga unfolds, one can't help but wonder if his quest for freedom may ultimately lead to his undoing. The betrayal. Carl Labrook has witnessed his fair share of tragedy and turmoil within the Rebels Motorcycle Club. Over his 25-year tenure, he's seen countless friends perish and others sentenced to lengthy prison terms, all in the name of allegiance to the rebels. Through it all, he remained a loyal member. But that loyalty was called into question by Damon Vell, the club's national president, shortly after Labrook's latest court appearance. Labrook was furious when Vella questioned his integrity. He vehemently defended himself, telling anyone who would listen that he harbored no ill will towards Nick Martin, even speaking at Martin's funeral. Recalling their shared past, Labrook remembered Nick as a hard worker who, once, in a daring act, took a plasma TV from a man who owed him money, an anecdote he shared to underscore their bond.
Back then, Nick was a hard worker, Brian not so much. In the beginning of our friendship, one memory stands out. I remember talking him into a job with me, and without saying too much, we had to see a guy that owed some large sum of money. While at this guy's house, I had to walk him 5 houses down to his mother's, who was overseas at the time. As I returned back, Nick came busting out of the guy's front door, balancing a brand new large plasma TV, which were quite rare in those days, as they had only just come out.
Vella, however, was unimpressed. He demanded that Labrook submit the court transcripts for review to determine if he had indeed broken the rebels' code of honor. Already besieged by legal woes, Labrook bristled at the request. In a fit of anger, he told Vell to get the transcripts himself, just like everyone else. This defiance only escalated tensions. Vel threatened punitive action against Labrook, but before he could make good on that threat, Labrook took matters into his own hands. In a dramatic move, he handed in his colors and quit the club he had considered home for over 3 decades. The once loyal member decided it was time to sever ties, closing a turbulent chapter of his life amidst whispers of betrayal and disillusionment. The Great Resignation. After Carl Labrook's explosive testimony, the National Rebels executive accused him of selling out and threatened punitive action. In a bold move, Labrook quit the Rebels and handed in his colors, seemingly closing a dark chapter in the club's history. But even more chaos was on the horizon. The West Australian chapter of the Rebels, led by Labrook, supported everything he had said about Nick Martin. They had suffered under Martin's corrupt rule and had no qualms with Labrook telling the truth, even in court. When the national president, Damon Vel, pressured Labrook and ultimately forced his resignation, the West Australian chapter decided to stand in solidarity with their leader. In an unprecedented act, 37 members followed Labrook's lead and resigned, marking the largest mass resignation in Rebels history. Dubbed the Great Resignation by the Australian biker community, the fallout sent shockwaves through the underworld, signaling a potential end for the Rebels in Western Australia. Defiantly, the resigning members refused to leave their Harleys behind, either planning to defect to another club or start a new one under Labrook, assuming he avoids a lengthy prison sentence. With the Rebels embroiled in a brutal war with the Mongols and many members already imprisoned, the resignation has left the club at its weakest. The Mongols now have a clear path to dominate the West Coast. Beyond this, the mass exodus highlights widespread discontent with Damon Vel's leadership. Struggling to keep the Rebels united, Vel faces an existential crisis as the club teeters on the brink of collapse. Carl Labrook's resignation might well be the triggering event that hastens both his imprisonment and the end of the Rebels as a formidable force in Western Australia. The Labrooks after trial. Carl Labrook is officially no longer a member of the Rebels, but his legal troubles are far from over. With a notorious criminal history, a guilty verdict could mean a lengthy jail sentence, something the police would relish. His accomplice, Kelly Curley, has already been convicted, making his fate seem almost certain. Even if the stolen goods charge doesn't stick, the driving without authority charge could still land him behind bars. Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. The Rebels and Australia's underworld will never be the same. Whether it's for better or worse, only time will tell.